Hello Star Wars fans, and welcome to episode 47 of Journey into Legends. Today we are going to be reading Before the Storm by Michael P. QB McDowell. Before the Storm was released in 1996, and it is the first book in the Black Fleet Crisis trilogy. I'm simultaneously pretty excited and pretty wary to get into this trilogy. I've heard some pretty mixed things about it, and I don't really know what to expect. Anyways, without further ado, let's read and review. Alright, so easily my favorite aspect of this book was the main plotline involving the Avathans and the Black Fleet. Now this storyline has three major facets, if you will. The first of these facets is the Duscan League, who are essentially the main antagonists of the trilogy. The Duscan League is this independent, isolationist government body that resides in a mostly unexplored region of the galaxy called the Cornact Cluster. And at the start of this book, their viceroy, named Nil Spar, reaches out to Leia, and they begin negotiating terms of agreement. She's basically trying to persuade him and the Avathans to join the New Republic, whereas he simply wants to maintain independence and come to a territorial agreement and establish the boundaries of the Duscan League. Now, the second so-called facet of this story, the big wrench that is thrown into these negotiations, is a missing fleet of Imperial ships called the Black Fleet, that the New Republic believes the Avathans could possibly be in possession of. Now, I really enjoyed the political discussion of what to do about the Avathans and the possibility that they could be in possession of this missing fleet. But this is where my issues with Leia's characterization begins. At first, it's easy to understand where she's coming from, with her trying to believe that Nil Spar is trustworthy. All of that fits in with her personality of her always trying to see the good in people, and trying to preserve the ethics and the ideals of the New Republic regarding diplomacy. But very quickly, as things regarding the Duscan League begin to escalate, Leia really started acting more passive and extremely naive. And this is no more apparent than with the inclusion of our third major facet of this storyline, which is the New Republic's Fifth Fleet. Now, the Fifth Fleet is a new experimental fleet that is initially tasked with the defense of the New Republic, but a lot of the politics in this book revolve around the usage of this fleet and whether or not they should convert the fleet into an offensive role to search the Cornact Cluster for the missing Imperial Black Fleet. And this is where Leia's mischaracterization really starts to come out. As this threat starts to escalate and Nil Spar pulls out of negotiations and leaves Coruscant, Leia's passive approach to this crisis goes way past incompetence. Nil Spar is good at what he does, I'll give him that. He's a great manipulator, but Leia just makes it so easy for him. There's a specific point in this book where Nil Spar and the Duscan League use their fleet to basically commit genocide on all of the non-Yavathans in the Cornact Cluster, and Leia doesn't respond to this at all. She doesn't accept responsibility for this. In fact, at this point, she has locked herself at home and is refusing to talk to anybody, refusing to give any guidance. She hasn't made any statement. She hasn't put any plan into motion to combat the Avathans. Even when Admiral Ackbar presents her with video footage of the Avathan Purge, she accuses him of falsifying the footage to make her look bad and take her spot as Chief of State. Not only is this such horrible character assassination for Leia, of whom Ackbar is one of her biggest confidants, but it's such a gross mischaracterization of Ackbar. He's never been this big, power-hungry political schemer. In fact, we see that he's the exact opposite in both the Thrawn trilogy and the Jedi Academy trilogy. Overall, I did really enjoy this plotline. Nil Spar and the Avathans were refreshingly brutal villains. I really enjoyed the military sci-fi aspect, which is something we don't get very often. And the politics were also fairly well done, but man, Leia's portrayal here is so bafflingly bad. Alright, so our first of two little plotlines in this book involves Lando. Now, the way this plotline started was really weird to me. Basically, Lando goes to Admiral Drayson to volunteer for a mission simply because he's bored. I guess he's got no money-making schemes going on right now, and he's just looking for something to do, but personally, I thought this was a really weird way to set up the storyline. And the fact that Lando is doing this mission for free and doesn't even negotiate for some sort of payment was really unrealistic to me. Making money is kind of the essence of his character, so that was kind of weird. Anyways, Drayson gives Lando a mission involving this mysterious alien ship that New Republic intelligence has been following for a while called the Teljkon Vagabond, and I thought this ship was actually really cool. Basically, the New Republic has had a few run-ins with it, and every time they get close enough to it, it sends out this weird signal, and then it jumps into hyperspace, and sometimes it attacks the New Republic ships. But anyways, Lando, the droids, and Lobot, who is actually a major player in this story, which is really cool, take this mission, they follow the Teljkon Vagabond, and at the end, they kind of disobey orders and board the ship on their own authority. And the big cliffhanger at the end of this plotline is that while they're on the Vagabond, it goes into hyperspace. Now, other than the awkward setup of this side plot and the fact that it never really connects to the main story, I had a lot of fun with this plotline. Lando and Lobot are a fun duo, and the Vagabond itself is so mysterious and alien, and overall just really intriguing. Alright, easily the weakest of the three plotlines in this book is the little quest that Luke goes on. Basically, Luke starts off the book feeling disconnected from the Force, so he transfers control of the Jedi Praxium over to Streen and basically goes to an old fortress of Vader's on Coruscant to meditate and strengthen his connection to the Force once again. But while he's meditating, a woman named Akana is able to sneak through his defenses and basically invites him on this quest to find her people, who are this secret sect of Force users called the Fallenasi. And to convince Luke to come with her, she tells him that one of the Fallenasi is his mother, a woman named Nashira. And the rest of this plotline is basically them just following the trail to find out where the Fallenasi went. Personally, I didn't really get anything out of this plotline, and just based on the fact that Nashira is, in fact, of course, not Luke's mother, I feel like I'm not going to get anything out of this plotline in the next two books. It also doesn't help that, like Leia, Luke is mischaracterized. He just doesn't act or sound wise like he should at this point in his life. This feels very much like original trilogy Luke. This doesn't feel like Jedi Master Luke like he should. So overall, I actually did enjoy this book a decent amount. The military and political aspects of the story were quite entertaining and unique, and the Avatha are intriguing villains. But other than that, the absolutely horrible portrayals of Luke and especially Leia, as well as the two completely disconnected side plots, really dragged this book down for me. With all that in mind, I'm going to give this book a 76%. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next review, where I'll be continuing this trilogy with Book 2, Shield of Lies. See ya!